In today's video, brought to you by hardneckgarlic.com, we're going to be talking about harvesting your garlic. When to harvest is one of the trickiest challenges that a grower will face, and in today's video we'll talk about some tips and tricks for making the determination of when to harvest, how to harvest, some do's and don'ts for harvesting, and then curing your garlic post-harvest to ensure that you get maximum storability to enjoy your crop well into the winter. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to hit the subscribe button so you continue to get updates from us throughout the garlic season. It's the middle of June in southeastern Pennsylvania, Zone 6B. We're starting to harvest some of our earliest varieties. We thought it'd be helpful to explain how you know when it's ready to harvest the various varieties of hardneck garlic. It really comes down to the leaves, and the shape of your leaves is an indicator of when it's time to harvest. We'll give you an example on this particular variety. This is Payu Yang, which is an Asiatic. It's important to point out as you look at this, we're still scaping this variety, so it's obviously not time to harvest, but it'll be a good visual opportunity to understand how to make the determination when to harvest. The most important thing to understand about your garlic plant is that every one of these leaves on the plant go down and make a wrapper around the bulb. So the key to harvesting is to make sure that you harvest while you still have good wrappers intact around the bulb. That's the key to ensure that you're going to have good storage quality. Now if you look on this particular plant, there's a leaf here that's already fallen off. The second leaf is dry. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's a total of 9 leaves on this plant, and now we have the scape just starting to come out. We'll remove this scape probably later today or tomorrow. Remember, if each leaf is a wrapper, ideally you want to harvest when you have 5 to 6 good leaves remaining. Now you'll notice that some of these tips are starting to yellow. It's really not what you're focusing on. What you're focusing on is the quality of the leaf down where it meets the stem. Okay? So we still have probably another 3 weeks to go before we'll harvest this. We would harvest this particular variety when this leaf dries off and this one's about halfway dry. So focus on your leaves, work from the bottom up. You want to make sure that you have 5 to 6 good solid green leaves on top so that you have 5 to 6 good wrappers on your bulb to ensure good storage quality. Today we're harvesting our turbans. Turbans are always our last variety planted and our first harvested. These particular turbans were planted last year on December 28th. We're harvesting today, June 15th. Last year we harvested on June 12th. Pretty consistent. Now, not all varieties are created equal, and really what differentiates the subgroups is a lot to do with their leaf structure. We showed you the Asiatics and how to gauge when it was time to harvest. You'll notice turban varieties don't have nearly as many leaves. So on this particular plant, there was your first leaf, your second leaf, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what we find on turban varieties is you typically have 6 or 7 leaves and then it'll throw a scape. One of the reasons why turbans aren't a great storage variety of garlic is because it doesn't have as many leaves. So typically we're harvesting our turbans when we still have 4 good green leaves remaining. Right, and while this has started to dry down on the tip, you'll notice the main portion of the leaf where it meets the stem is still nice and green. So we'll be harvesting these a little bit later today. We've already harvested about 4,000 or 5,000 of them already this morning. This particular variety is Shandong. But you'll notice as you go through, pretty consistent. There's 3 to 4 green leaves remaining on each plant. This particular variety was scaped about 3 weeks ago. And again, this is the earliest. Unfortunately, these don't store well. So you want to use, in this particular area, you want to use these up by Halloween. But boy, they really do have beautiful wrappers and have exceptional flavors, which we'll get to show you in a little bit. We're going to demonstrate how you're likely to harvest in your backyard garden, and then we'll show you some of the equipment that we use to make harvest a little bit easier for us growing on a larger scale. But a couple of key tips to harvesting garlic. We'll start with what not to do. A lot of folks want to come out and they think that this plant is really sturdy and they want to grab a hold of it and they want to yank it out of the ground. You may be able to get the plant out of the ground that way, but it's very likely that you're going to damage the neck of the plant, and in the process you're going to hurt your storability of that garlic. So we recommend you use a digging fork or a shovel You want to be careful, you don't want to get too close to the bulb because you don't want to poke the bulb and damage the bulb. But it's really easy, you just want to dig alongside, loosen up that soil, grab a hold of the plant. You really don't want to, you're not really pulling hard, you're just gradually tugging it out of the ground. And you're going to remove the bulb from the ground. Now when we harvest, we like to knock the dirt off the roots and leave it like that. We'll show you how we hang garlic a little bit later. A lot of folks, when they harvest, there'll be a clump of dirt on the bottom of this bulb. And when they pull it from the ground, they want to bang the bulb against the ground to get the dirt off. What you're doing is you're bruising your garlic, and it's going to damage the storability of the garlic. Don't ever throw your garlic. Don't toss it on the ground. Don't bang it. Treat it like it's an egg. So it's a nice 2.25 inch bulb. Again, this variety is Shandong. And you just want to work through your bed harvesting at a comfortable pace. Don't overdo it. Again, just going to reach down, grab close to the bottom of the bulb, bottom of the stem near the neck, and pull it out. And again, we have pretty dry conditions in Pennsylvania at the moment. Normally this is a heavy wet clay that clods to the bottom. Pretty nice harvesting conditions at the moment. Set it to the side and repeat. And as you can see, we obviously don't harvest this way on the scale that we're at. We've done 5,000 already this morning. It would take us a long time to dig in by hand, but if you have even a couple of hundred in the garden, this is a great way to go about doing it. Set it to the side. Now, we'd like to tell you that all the garlic we grow are monsters. That's just not always the case. This one actually didn't even clove. Here we have a round. And we'll trim this up and keep it, and we'll plant that round in the fall. That'll make a nice big bulb next year. Not every garlic bulb is going to be 2.5 inches, especially in the planting system that we use. These are 5 rows across in a 30-inch bed, diagonal spacing. We really shoot for a bulb that's just slightly less than 2 inches in size, because we find that those bulbs store better than their larger counterparts. And again, it's not about the size of the bulb so much as it is the size of the cloves. And you can see even before this is cured down, really nice clove structure on these bulbs. We're finishing up on our last bit of a variety called Shandong, and we just wanted to show you real quick some of the equipment that we use on a little bit larger scale. As opposed to digging by hand, we use a tool called an undercutter that allows us to work in underneath the bulbs of the garlic and loosen them and pop them, so that all we have to go through and essentially just pick them up out of the dirt. A little tricky to use until you get used to it. You got to be careful that it doesn't hop out of the soil and it'll damage the bulbs. The conditions right now are really nice because it's drier than normal. Normally it seems like we're always racing the rain during harvest and dealing with wet ground. This year we're a little bit dry, which actually is ideal for harvest conditions. So we'll just show you a short section of using the undercutter to loosen up the last of our turbin varieties in southeastern Pennsylvania for this year. Really as simple as that. We'll now go through the bed and just pick up the bulbs, lightly brush the soil off, and then take them up, and we'll show you how we hang to cure. So this is the bed we just ran the undercutter through. So you can see this is a lot easier to pick up than digging with a fork. And it's how we're able to do, essentially the 100,000 bulbs that we'll harvest this year between our farm here in Pennsylvania and the farm in Vermont. What's interesting is we're harvesting turbins in southeastern Pennsylvania, zone 6B, on June 15th. Our turbins in Vermont, northern Vermont, zone 4A, have yet to scape. So we're still at least 6 weeks away from harvest in Vermont, but we are enjoying the harvest of some very nice turbans, this particular variety of Shandong, here in southeastern Pennsylvania. Hope everybody has a great harvest. Well, now that you've gotten your garlic harvested and out of the field, you need to cure it to make sure that it'll store well into the winter and the fall. You have a couple of different options when it comes to curing. You can lay the garlic out piece by piece on a wire mesh table similar to what you see here in this picture. We use these as working tables, but you could certainly lay them out individually, either topped or with the tops on. You could use old window screens and set window screens out underneath a covered porch someplace where they're not going to get wet and where they're not going to be in direct sunlight. But most backyard gardeners, home gardeners, are going to hang their garlic. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. The first thing you're going to need is someplace to actually hang your garlic. So this is a detached garage. We're not growing nearly as much in Pennsylvania this year as what we have in the past, so this serves its purpose. There's about 5,000 bulbs hanging here at the moment. So you're going to need a step ladder. You're going to need something to attach to. We have screws up in the joists. You're going to need the string that you choose to use. We like to use a biodegradable jute string that we can just cut down and throw on the compost pile. We use some wire ties to make it a little bit easier and more convenient to work with, and we'll talk to you a little bit about that. So we'll take a bundle of garlic, harvested fresh out of the field today, and we'll bundle using a wire tie. Depending on the size of the garlic, it'll be anywhere from 8 to 12 bulbs. Makes it a little bit easier for us to handle it while we're stringing it. Once we have them bundled, we'll put an identifying tag on at least one in each string that's hanging from the joist so that we know what variety is. We try to make sure that we have all the varieties hung together. And then we string from top down, and we'll show you here how we do that. Alright, so now it's time to hang. So you've got your screw up top that you're going to attach your jute twine to. You're just going to knot it fast, nothing fancy, just a double knot. And this is a good job to have 2 people for, so you don't have to climb up and down the ladder. So if you have a helper hand you a bundle, bulbs first, bulbs in your right hand, string with your left hand. You take the string underneath the bundle, over the top. You spin the bundle of garlic, reach over the top, bring the string around once, switch hands around the bottom, and cinch it tight. Next bundle, bulbs first, string underneath, one wrap over the top. When you have the one wrap over the top, you literally take the bundle and you spin it. One wrap again over the top, this time over the top of the stems instead of the bulbs. And then you wrap around the bottom of the bulbs again. Essentially what you're making is a big X with the string. And then as the garlic dries, the weight of the garlic will pull down on the string and keep it tight, and the bundles won't fall out. So again, bulbs first, string underneath the bulbs, one wrap around the top. You spin the bundle, string again over the top of the stems, cinch it tight, one more wrap around the bulb end, and pull tight. String underneath, bulbs first, one wrap. Okay, you get the one wrap, you spin the bundle so that your leaves are now pointing in. Give it one wrap on the leaf side, cinch it tight, one wrap on the bulb side, and give it a good pull down. Your next bundle. Bulbs first, one wrap of string around the top. You give everything a spin, one wrap over the leaves, one wrap around the bulb, cinch and pull down. Okay? And then when we get to the last bunch in the string, we have a tag on it. The variety we're working with here is Lotus. Again, string underneath, around the bulbs one time, You give it a spin, one wrap around the leaves, around the bulb, making your X. Give it a good cinch and a pull, and then you're going to cut your string, and you're going to tie it off, and you're done. Nothing fancy. You don't get style points for doing this. It doesn't make the bulbs bigger. All you're trying to do is get them hung so that you can get air circulating through them so that they'll dry down. Thanks for watching today. We hope that you found this information useful and that you have a great harvest this year. Make sure to hit the subscribe button for updates as we continue through the garlic growing season. And you can follow us at Instagram and Facebook at Hardneck Garlic, and also subscribe to our email newsletter at hardneckgarlic.com.